Can you hear me now? That's what I was looking for. We're ready to rock and roll or what?
Yeah, stop stalling. Let's go.
I'm not stalling.
Yes,
dude.
you are, dude. Let's fucking go.
I just don't like you. I figure if I wait long enough, you'll have to go to work.
He gets a little nervous before the
And I'll be
podcast.
good to go.
He stalls like 45 minutes.
Didn't put my fucking video up. Fucking
I'm
worthless.
just gonna let you guys take the lead and I'll chime in.
That's pretty much what I expect of you. What's up, everybody? FknBucky here. I spell it, you say it. Hayden, what does that mean?
Fucking Bucky.
There you go. Very, 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 very special podcast for you all today. Excited to say that we do have our first guest of the podcast ever. And let me first introduce Hayden. Try to get him to speak as little as possible. Before I introduce our wonderful guest here, I just wanted to say that lots of people in the world, I watch these murder shows all the time, you know, like the First 48 and Dateline and all these shows. And I always wonder, I'm like, how in the fuck do people go through their entire life and then they get to like 50 or 60 and they just lose it and they cap somebody? And I'm like, you know, why would you throw your life away? Like, how does that even possible? And then one day I met Hayden and I understand the anger and the fact that someone is like 50, they're like, fuck it, I've had a good life, I need to murder this person. And so I just, all of you listening in prison, I understand. And Hayden loves you and wishes he could be there with you to give you some prison love. With that, let's introduce our guy, Damon. Big D. That's what you were called the other day at the escape room, huh?
Among other things, yes.
Among other things. Welcome to the FknBucky Podcast, man. We are happy to have you here. Flown in all the way from the great state of Wisconsin, the land of dairy farms and cheese. Did you bring any cheese with you, Big D?
No, but I'm pretty sure there's some on the floor from Hayden.
Hayden eats a lot of cheese. And we know that for multiple reasons, but he's full of shit because he's backed up. And it's awkward. So, Damon, real quick, rundown. How old are you? What do you do for work? How many women have you slept with this month?
Damon, I work for a beverage company. We're brand owners as well as contract packagers. So kind of in the alcohol, non-alc world, beverage packaging, bottles, cans.
Who doesn't love alcohol, right?
Yeah, and I slept with one woman.
Awesome.
Ever.
One woman
No.
ever. Good for you. Hey, keep that lie up if she believes you. Rock and roll. That's one more than Hayden. Hayden's really looking forward to sleeping with his first women, and he's been having a lot of practice with bestiality, but that's weird, and we're not going to go down that road today, you know? So a ton of stuff in the news. We talked about some of it, and we're just gonna rock and roll and go through it. So, Big D, do you watch basketball at all? What do you think about the Luka trade? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was an interesting move.
I think it's a fucked move by the Mavericks. I don't really understand it. I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I feel like there's a real conspiracy behind all of that. And I feel like maybe the NBA, because viewership is so down, if you watch basketball in the last few years, it absolutely sucks. Everybody thinks they're Steph Curry. They're just lobbing balls from everywhere. And they're not Steph Curry, and the game kind of blows. But I think they want LeBron to get another ring. So I think they've somehow manufactured this trade to go to Los Angeles and try to get the Lakers back into the finals. That's my conspiracy theory. What's yours, Big D?
Yeah, I think Braun has to get some people around him, and Davis has been hurt so much that they have to make any kind of move to keep him there. He's gonna either retire, find a new home for his last couple of years. I don't see him staying in the league for more than 2 or 3 more years. He's already 40 years old. Not that he isn't performing, but he's getting to the end of his career for sure.
And Davis is like totally injury prone. It's just wild to me. I don't know. I guess.
See, I don't know if it was true or not, but I saw that the Mavs let him go because he was drinking and smoking. I don't know how much validity there is to that, but that would
Who
be
doesn't drink and smoke? Some of these NBA guys have like 75 kids with 27 different women. I mean, I'd rather you smoke a cigarette than make a baby, but what the fuck do I know, right?
I think the NIL deals and shit are ruining some of the basketball too. These kids are getting paid millions of dollars, and there's no motivation to get to the league, or there's no motivation once they get to the league because they're already making so much money.
That's an interesting point. I think that's going to be something that's interesting for the future. Now that to see how that does change the game, NFL, all of it, all the sports. Because I mean, if you're already making millions and you got 75 million followers on Instagram, why put your body through the pro sport later?
Right.
You've already made your money.
You to get to the pros when you're already making money.
I was thinking about this the other day. Everyone that's listening to my podcast, reading my blog, whatever, knows how much I appreciate Kobe Bryant and what he brought to the entire world, not just the world of basketball. His work ethic, he was so driven to just be the best. And I think that he drove everyone around him, even his competitors, to be better because they wanted to beat him. They wanted to be on his level. And they just haven't had that. I don't see it. I see a lot of people that get really good at their craft. They get a massive payday, and then it just kind of dies off. They don't have that desire to just simply be the best. I will say where you do see it is Caitlin Clark, WNBA. I could give a shit less about women's sports. They're boring, and women suck at doing stuff. But just kidding. A sexist person would say that. But Caitlin Clark makes it interesting because she wants to dominate, and she doesn't dominate with her shit talking. She dominates on the court, and I think that's what the attraction is to her. People like to be around greatness, regardless what it is. Look at Michael Phelps, right? Swimming's stupid. It's gay. It's fun to be in a pool and you got a bunch of chicks in bikinis and you're getting drunk. That's fun, but just swimming laps all day by yourself in a pool? Stupid.
Keegan and Gavin are swimmers. You calling them gay?
Well, they're stupid. But when Michael Phelps went to the Olympics and won, 70 medals or whatever it is, I don't know. He was on commercials. Everybody thought it was super cool. They just like to be around somebody that does something better than everybody else, right? Doesn't even matter what it is. But I definitely, I don't see it in the basketball world. I just don't see the.
No, I couldn't pick out any guy in the NBA right now that's.
Even Luka's great, but if he's smoking and drinking, I saw a video of him having a beer and the guy took a beer away from him, right? Which I could care less if he wants to have some beers or whatever. But, that was one thing Kobe Bryant, they all said it, all the people that competed against him, that, they would all be in the club and Kobe would be in the gym.
Yeah.
Kobe was doing, he would outwork everybody. And it was just, and even Kobe himself, and I've said this before, but he admitted that to be the best basketball player in the world, he was a crappy dad, he was a crappy friend, he was a crappy everything else because everything was around basketball. He missed birthdays, he missed Christmas, he missed everything because it was he wanted to be the best at basketball. Right here, this is that video. This is right after the NBA Finals, I do believe, right? He took the beer away. That must be a racism thing.
Man.
Yeah. It's like
She's like,
fuck, I can afford another one, dick. I mean, that would just make me want to drink more beers. But, so, I mean, but that is there's a sacrifice to be made. And lots of people don't want to make that sacrifice. They don't want to make any sacrifices. And this brings me back to
what I wanted to talk about, which is business.
Shut up. So, in the world that people are experiencing, right? We see it every day. And Americans are insanely lazy. And they don't want to suffer at all. They want everything to be fast. They want everything to be easy. They don't want to put themselves through any type of hardship. And it's just not the way. It's not what life is intended for. Life is not intended for you to just be a slobby piece of shit all the way through it. If you really want to find happiness in the world, it's not through a drug. It's not through a relationship. It's not getting a super hot chick or a great guy or having a lot of money. The true happiness is the world is finding that mark, finding that goal, putting yourself through some hardship, suffering for the reward at the end, earning it, earning that, that incredible body or earning a vehicle, getting a second job and working and reaching that goal, reading the books and getting smarter and getting things for yourself. Anybody can hand you anything. I mean, somebody could hand you $5 million right now. You can take that $5 million, go find some gold digging broad, get a hot chick, buy a fast car. But are you going to be happy?
Hayden might be.
Hayden's just happy with a 6-pack of Coors and a tranny. As long as he's got a business book. There you go. We talked about your business.
Well, a lot of business gurus think you should read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and books like that. But my personal opinion is that books are for pussies, dude. Like fucking, you got to get out there and you got to like fuck over an illegal immigrant.
I think we should take you out back and shoot you. Probably would have done it by now, but unfortunately, folks, it's illegal in this country. So soon, podcast be coming at you from Iraq, and Hayden will be staying there. Find an illegal immigrant and F them over. And books are for pussies. Guess who's going to be taking out the trashes when he's 40?
The trashes.
It ain't going to be me, folks.
No, it's going to be the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, we won't have them. They're leaving, buddy. Trump's getting rid of them.
All right, now we're to the main topic.
See you later.
Now we're back to Trump.
You know what? These people got to go, man. You come in illegally, you got to go. You can't go to we can't go to other countries illegally and just hang out. So, see you later. And you know what? The whole thing has been a scam from the beginning. And it's all coming out. It's going to come out more and more. And I'll paraphrase it for you right now. There's a whole lot of people in Washington that decided they wanted to get rich. How do they get rich? They brought in a whole bunch of people that are illegal. So what they do is they gave money to these non-government organization. These NGOs got billions of dollars. They took those billions of dollars and they herded up a whole bunch of people, South America, and they helped them get the money to come all the way here to America. Straight on by the border. Woohoo! We want asylum, walk right on in. 11,000 people a day, I do believe it was up to. That's a lot of people. Once they got here, they needed a place to stay and they needed stuff. Well, we gave them more charity money that came from FEMA and came from other organizations. I'm talking about billions of dollars. We put these people up in hotels and we paid the highest hotel rate they had, max rate, sometimes double the rate. The Ritz-Carlton in New York, yep, we paid double the rate for the Ritz-Carlton. I've never got to stay at a Ritz-Carlton because it's fucking expensive. Have you stayed at a Ritz-Carlton, Hayden?
No, but how does that make the politicians rich? Like, what's the...
I'm trying to explain if you shut up. Politicians own these hotels. Their friends own these hotels. Now these hotels are maxed out and they're getting paid. You know what else they own? They own a charity. It says Hayden's Immigrant Charity. And they're like, oh my gosh, let's give Hayden's Immigrant Charity $7 million. So you get $7 million. Well, guess what? Hayden's Immigrant Charity, well, Hayden, as the CEO of the charity, he has to pay himself a salary. So he gets paid $1.2 million a year so that he can take care of the illegal immigrants. But Hayden's got his friends and family that are on the board, so they all get a good $250,000 a year to do nothing, to be on this board of this charity for illegal immigrants. By the time everybody gets paid, about $800,000 actually goes down and gets whatever blankets and food to the people that are here illegally.
But why do they have to be illegal? Why can't they just be immigrants that they're flying?
Oh my God, it's like talking to a fucking board, dude. What do you mean? If you come here legally,
they're just trying
you
to
don't
make
get to
money.
come here legally. We don't bring 11,000 people in legally every single day. You come here legally, you have to pass a test. You have to become American. You have to show that you could support yourself. You don't get to just walk in here and be like, hey, I'm here legally now and I want welfare. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a job. You have to be able to support yourself. You have to be able to learn the Constitution and learn about American laws and understand all that. There's a whole process and it costs a ton of money. But every single one of these people that just come across illegally, they jump in front of the line of the people that are trying to do it legally. And it's a very hard process. So the whole thing has been a freaking cash grab, and they're going to find the money. And it's insane how much money they've spent on these people. And don't get me wrong, I'm a humanitarian. I take care of people. I care about people. But I'm sure as fuck not going to get some asshole rich in Washington, D.C., under the guise of humanitarian. You know, they've screwed the American taxpayer so hard. The whole Doge thing is amazing. The stuff that they're showing, the USAID paying all that money, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. Do you know how many hours you got to work? My man, Big D back here, you work, you get a W-2, right?
Yeah.
Out of that W-2, you have to pay taxes, correct?
Supposed to.
Yeah. So that tax money that they take away from you spend time away from your home at a job. You don't get to sit around and get stoned all day and somebody just pays you. You have to separate your time. Then they take that federal tax money, and then some asshole in Washington, D.C. just takes it and throws your money towards a transgender opera in Colombia. Even if you pay $5,000 a year in federal taxes, which a lot of people do, and the average income is $66,000 a year, $5,000, that means, say, 10 Americans that spend their time away from their family, blah, blah. The hard-earned money that they send to the federal government gets pissed away for an opera in Colombia. If you care about an opera in Colombia, more power to you. But take your money and give it to them. Don't steal mine. Don't steal Big D's money and send it down there. It's just insane. And it's only one example of the thousands of examples that they've found. This whole thing with Stacey Abrams, the Georgia Democrat governor. She ran for governor, but she lost. But they just found that she has a non-charity or charity, $2 billion that they gave her. Never once done anything with charity in her life. The only other charitable donation to this charity was $100. They started it, $100 in the bank account. Somehow the Biden administration sent her $2 billion. I don't give a shit if you got a D next to your name or an R or an I. You can be whatever, but that is complete waste, and it's insane that they would spend American taxpayer dollars on shit like that. That's how I feel. And so the border's closed. People aren't coming across. There's already been I think it's called the Jewish something charity in San Diego. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's closed because there's no more people coming in. And they got $22 million of taxpayer dollars to take care of people that were coming across illegally. They closed it. There's no people coming in. So now your tax dollars aren't getting spent there. And again, I'm fine with helping people, but the simple fact is that we live here in North Carolina. I was just in Asheville. There's still people in tents in Asheville. There's still people that can't get any help in Asheville. The only help they've gotten is from local churches and charities. FEMA's not around, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And they say that FEMA spent billions of dollars. And he stopped. spent billions on all these people that weren't supposed to be here. And we don't help our American citizens. And now we got all this trouble in California too. I mean, that's hundreds of billions of dollars that it's going to take to rebuild all of that. And we don't have it. And it gets worse. If you look into it, the FEMA money was sent. There was different places where they were buying illegal immigrants, cars. They were giving them money for houses. They were giving them money for starting up businesses. Why can't we buy Americans' cars? Why do we have all these homeless veterans? Hey, come here. Get up. Lay down. I mean, people can be on whatever side of the aisle they want. I'm not so worried about that. But I sure as hell, I'm not accepting that this money has been spent this way. And all these people that are screaming and crying, I mean, it's usually the people that are the biggest scammers are the ones that scream the loudest. You know, there's no question that there's a ton of abuse and fraud going on in our government system. It's never been looked at. The Pentagon hasn't passed an audit never once have they passed an audit. That's insane.
I mean, what's your take on California? What do you think happens now? You know, what I've been hearing too is like companies, I think it's like PG&E, it's cheaper for them to pay for these buyouts when something goes wrong versus actually implementing the correct way to operate. And they're starting thousands of fires over the years, yet they won't put anything in action because it costs more money to do it the right way versus paying out these, you know, when they cause a fucking wildfire, it's cheaper for them just to pay for the damages versus actually implementing the proper way to.
I think there's been so much money squandered and wasted in California. If you look at just the thing that happened just the other day, they canceled their bullet train, right? That high-speed train. And people are flipping out about it, right? They've already spent $16 billion with a B dollars. There's no train. There's not even a train to look at. There's no tracks laid down. Where the fuck is the $16 billion, right?
Yeah.
The train is stupid, okay? You want a high-speed train? Great. But you took $16 billion, you pissed it away. Imagine if that $16 billion had been spent on burying the power lines and getting rid of that problem, right? So when you have people that mismanage funds in such a way, and that money just didn't evaporate, right? Kind of like when Hayden vacuums, he thinks all the shit that gets in the vacuum just disappears somehow. Remember that? Yeah, emptying a vacuum. But that money didn't disappear, right? Somebody's got it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got it. And it got doled out to this person's friendship and this person's friendship. And, hey, you donated to my campaign. And look, there's plenty of that goes around. And there's plenty of it that happens on the Republican side, Democratic side, whatever. And a little bit of it's fine. It's the way the world works. But it's at such a level now that it's crazy. And it really brings up another point where I was going to make is that you got all these people flipping out, right? Babies are going to die. We don't have baby formula. You can't turn this down. You can't stop this. You can't pause it. You can't this, you can't that. Well, here's the problem with that. When there's so much fraud that happens and you get caught, and when you got caught, you start screaming, oh my God, you can't stop this fraud because if you do, you'll stop this over here. Well, whose fault is that, right? It's not the person that caught you. It's you. You fucking, you blew it up. You went too far and you got caught. And so you're the reason. If you had been doing things in the open and you'd been doing things the right way, nobody would have had to come in and stop you. But instead, you get caught being a schmuck, and all of a sudden now it's everybody else's fault for catching you. It's kind of like recently I just had a credit card. I use it for just about everything. And I bought pizza for a meeting up in Raleigh, or actually Durham. 2 days later, I look at my credit card statement. There's a $102 charge for Nigeria. I haven't been to Nigeria in the last couple of days. Not that I remember anyways, you know? And I'm an old man now, back in my drinking days. Maybe I would have accepted that it probably happened. I woke up in some crazy places. But it didn't happen. So I called my credit card company and I said, hey, I haven't been to Nigeria. I don't think this is my charge. The lady on the phone laughed and she said, yeah, it's definitely was used in Nigeria. The number was punched in somewhere and they just hoped you wouldn't see it. Now, mind you, this card I use for everything. Automatic pay on all my bills, all my stuff. They shut the number off immediately. Card's canceled. It's over. You know what that's called? It's called a spending freeze. Okay? Just like what we did in Washington. I have to go through the trouble now of getting my new card in the mail and resetting up all the payment accounts and with the new card number to stop the fraud. Okay? It'd be stupid for me to tell the lady on the phone, hey, I use that to make my car insurance payment and I use that to pay for my blah, blah, whatever. So I can't cut that number off because it's too much work to stop the fraud. I need to just keep that and just whatever, chalk it up. Fuck that. I work too hard for my money to piss it away and give $105 to some dude in Nigeria. And I don't know about you. What do you think, Big D?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great comparison to what the government's doing. I mean, you escalate that for 10 years. That's exactly what's been happening is, yeah, let's keep this number and let's just keep riding it out. And at some point, yeah, somebody's going to get caught red-handed here.
And you just
got it's going to come out and it's going to be a crazy switch of things to correct it. I mean, yeah, I think right now it's kind of an unknown on how you even go about changing these things. It's going to be a huge change. It
should be a good change. I mean, if you think about it too, we are in 36 trillion in debt right now as a country. People don't understand how big of a deal that is. They get up, they go to work, they don't pay attention to it. I watch politics all day. I love it. It's like a reality show of all reality shows. I get it. Not everybody else cares that much. That's why I love sports too. It's a reality show. I have no time to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever the fuck these other shows are because they bore me. But real life, politics, sports, to me, that's reality. But you're spot on. These people have been run amok. They've gotten away with so much, right? They were like, oh, well, let's just send a little money here. And you can't tell me the millions of dollars. This is the fun part, is they're going to find that money and they're going to trace it back. And they're going to find out because you don't send $20 million to Iraq for Sesame Street, right? That's a real thing that they did. Someone decided to give $20 million to a company in Iraq to make a Sesame Street. That is not good money spent of the American tax dollar, right? Drive down the roads. There's potholes everywhere. Our airports are shit. Everything is just old. It's outdated. That money could be so much better spent here. And, but the thing is that very little of that money gets actually to where it was supposed to go. Much of it comes back and it lines the pocket. It gets kicked back. And the thing about money is they're going to find it. They will find a way to trail it down. We've got these super nerd army up in there. And I hope they track it down. I hope every single person, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on, if they took money and they committed fraud, they should go to jail. We should make an example of them. Maximum penalty. Fuck them. See you later. And I think that it's an exciting time for the America, and I know there's a lot of people really nervous and freaking out. And to those that are nervous about Trump, Elon Musk, I would say just take a deep breath. It's not going anywhere. This is going to happen. So relax and just hope that they do find the fraud. What do you think, Hayden? Do you want to talk?
Nope, you nailed it.
That's the smartest thing he's ever fucking said in his entire life. I'm impressed. Do you want to talk, Hayden? Nope. Everything you said is incredibly smart, and you are the greatest, Bucky.
I think an interesting piece of this, and we kind of touched on it before, is what happens like Maui and California with these houses that are just completely devastated.
Devastated. They sent the people in Maui a check for
companies like
$750.
BlackRock and shit come and pick these, land up, and what do they do with it? I've been seeing some like these, 10-minute cities or whatever you call it. Do they build out these crazy cities now, or does these companies like BlackRock or all these companies buying up this real estate, what do they do with it? And this land is basically useless to the people that lost their homes. I mean, and what do they do? Do they make you have to build your house with, non-flammable material? You can't have shrubbery. You can't have grass. What
make
happens?
their houses out of mud, like back in the old days.
I mean, you just your whole landscape is just
volcano rock. I don't know. It's a good
happens?
point.
It's going to be interesting
they
to
screwed the people
see.
in Maui too. They sent them a check for $750, man.
Yeah,
and
they've done nothing with it. From what I've seen, is what have they done to help?
That's a tough one too, because all those supplies got to be flown in or come over by boat.
Yeah.
And it's an expensive place to build anything because there's not many resources there. It's not like they got a big forest they can cut down and make a bunch of wood. So that's a good point. And what happens too is I was thinking about this the other day, is how quickly people just forget and move on, right? Like I haven't thought about the fires that happened in Maui in a couple of years now because it's not on the news. You don't think about it, but those people are dealing with it every single day. And it's not like they don't think about it.
Right.
And all that money squandered on other stuff. And again, I'm not against people coming to America. I think that's a big misconception by certain people, is that, if you're against illegal immigration, then you're just a racist and a horrible person. It's not that. It's just the simple fact that it's not sustainable. When your credit card are maxed out, you can't call your credit card company and say, hey, I need you to give me another $2,000 because I want to buy Christmas presents for orphans. They're going to laugh at you and hang up the phone. It's a worthy cause and it's nice, but you can't fucking afford it. And it's the same thing that we've got here. And now we have Americans in Maui, in Southern California, Asheville, Kentucky. We just had another big thing in Kentucky, Florida. But they need our help, and they've paid in their taxes. They've paid into this system. They've been a part of this system since birth. And when they need help, well, there's nothing left. We've already spent it all on people that shouldn't have been here in the first place. They got brought up here by people with an agenda. They knew they could make money. And there's a lot of them. I mean, a lot. We're talking millions of people have benefited from this, and the amount of money is staggering. And, when you just, these big caravans of people that came up, they didn't just appear out of nowhere. There was a system in place encouraging this to happen. And it's crazy. And it was all for the simple fact for certain people to get extremely rich off of American tax dollars and pleading on your heartstrings. And I think when the money gets traced down and you start to see it, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really nervous, as they should be. And, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Damon. On a little bit of a different subject, I'm going to bounce a tad. I wrote a blog not long ago, and I really liked it, and I just wanted to mention it while we're on the podcast. Recently, I went and saw David Goggins. You know who David Goggins is, right?
Yeah, he's a hardcore dude.
Hardcore dude, man. Probably the hardest dude. He's a Kobe Bryant individual, right?
He is. He has a lot of Kobe attributes, for sure.
His goal is to be the hardest motherfucker on the planet. His words. And same thing. It's inspiring. People want to follow that, right? People want a piece of that. They think if they hang around them, that will come into them and they'll suddenly be like that, right? It unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It has to come from your own mind. And in my own personal life, I've really taken some of these attributes and applied them. I'm not going to go into the whole thing completely, but I've really made it a new goal to fix my eating habits, cut out a lot of the sugar, and make sure that I get my workouts in every day without exception. Like whatever I got to do to make it happen, I make it happen. For the simple fact that, I'm 46. I've been out of shape. I was extremely sick. I mean, I was on life support 6 months ago. Almost, maybe 8-9 months ago. But that's a big difference. I lost a kidney. It's crazy. But part of the thing that Goggins talked about, and this is huge and it's helped me, and I bring it up because I think maybe if you're listening to this, you're struggling with things in your life and you're just looking for that spark, He says, don't be motivated. And this is so incredibly intelligent on his part, so smart. He said, motivation's for pussies, right? Kind of like books. If you want to follow the Hayden School of Life, he'll be teaching underneath the bridge every Tuesday where he's going to be living because he's a loser. And him and his cracked out girlfriend will teach you all about how to be a complete and utter piece of shit. Look forward to that. But the thing is, he's spot on. And the reason is because motivation, right? You watch a video and you're like, I'm all motivated, right? I'm going to do stuff. Well, what happens the next day when you wake up and you don't have that motivation? You don't watch the same video and you're like, whatever. So instead of using motivation, and again, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's good to watch that stuff, read the books, watch the videos, go to the seminars, go listen to these people speak. It's good. But don't rely on it for the changes that you want to make in your life. If you want to make changes in your life, you want to take the next step, you want to get better, don't be motivated, be obligated. Obligation versus motivation. Motivation can dissipate, right? Obligation stays. If you are obligated to yourself, you look at yourself in your mirror and you say, I promise you, I am going to be better. I promise you I'm going to start that business this year. I promised you I'm going to be a better father this year. I'm going to be a better boyfriend. I'm going to be a better husband. Whatever the fuck it is. Well, be obligated to yourself and make that commitment to yourself that this is going to happen. I don't care what it takes. I don't care if I got to stay up till 2 a.m. and get my workout in and then sleep for 2 hours and wake up at 4 and do it again. I have to work it out every day. I don't care if the boss wants me to work overtime. I promised my wife we were going to go to dinner and it was going to be date night. I'm going to date night. It's that important to me. I'm obligated to be a better husband this year. I'm not going to let my marriage fail because I waste my time at work for somebody that doesn't care.
Date night.
It's a miracle he's still alive, folks. On many, many levels. 1, I don't know how he made it through the world this long being this stupid. And 2, I don't understand where I find the willpower not to kill him. But it's there.
You could be on first 48.
We know what it is. I'm just too pretty. I'm scared of jail because I would end up being someone's bitch.
You wouldn't feel it.
Maybe I wouldn't. But my heart would hurt.
You'd be like, here, fuck me in the ass. I can't feel it.
You could be a pretty good smuggler, though.
Fuck both of you. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Prison wall. I mean, you could make money. You might make more money in jail.
Remember that Chappelle joke?
The only way you can get things into prison is to be out of prison. So if I kill Hayden, I'm not going to smuggle a whole lot, am I? You guys didn't think about that, did you? I could smuggle it from cell to cell. That doesn't really matter.
Bucky, remember when we went to that Chappelle show and he trashed people in wheelchairs for the first 15 minutes? Well, because he started the show off like, I've been getting in trouble with the transgender community, so I'm punching down tonight. I'm making fun of handicapped people. And then he made that joke. He was like, it's fucked up to invite somebody in a wheelchair to an orgy because all I can do is watch. I didn't do it justice.
That's funny.
That was wild, huh? Because it was like a really long, tough trip. We were doing a lot to get there, really expensive tickets. It was chaos. We're like, oh, we're finally here to see Chappelle.
Yeah, it was a waste of time. I'm never taking you anywhere again. You got anything else you want to bring up that's heartbreaking for me? You want to stress that I can't walk some more?
No, I wasn't doing that. I was just saying.
Else, you want me to go for a jog? Would that make you laugh?
Oh, I liked what you were talking
awkward,
about.
isn't it?
I liked how you're talking about your workouts and everything. You said you did a double
Shut
workout. Leg day.
I was having a real point there. Keep going. You got anybody else you want to offend?
That's about it. I got my wheelchair jokes in.
I'm glad. Yeah, so there we go. That got fucking weird. Thanks, Hayden.
All right, I gotta go to work. I'll see you guys.
This might be the greatest podcast we ever do. Just need to get rid of that dickhead. Oh my God. All right. That'll all get cut out anyways, my guess. I don't get to do the editing yet. Someday. But as I was saying, be obligated instead of motivated. Does that make sense to you, Damon?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know,
I think I kind of look back onto like sports, back in high school or, growing up. And you felt like you had an obligation to be there. The sports were a big part of like growing up for me. So I felt like was obligated to be at practice, obligated to be, in the gym or on the field. And if I wasn't there, obviously, then you miss playing time or something like that. And that's your end goal is to, play the game. That's the best part. Practice sucks for sure.
Yeah.
But, to play that game and to, be a part of that team, you feel obligated to be there. If you're sick, man, you're going to get to practice still or, so I think, growing up and maybe not playing as much sports, you kind of lose that a little bit. But I think you're right. It's not necessarily the motivation. It's the obligation to something where you feel like you need to do that.
Obligated to yourself, your team, your coach, your school, your town.
Yep. And it's different now, growing up, you're an adult. You got to be obligated to yourself and the people around you.
Yeah. Co-workers.
It's a good...
I like that. I love that analogy. Actually, it's true. Absolutely. And the one thing that as you get older, the reason you got to be obligated to yourself because a lot of people will do things for someone else, right? Like I'm going to go to the gym and get in shape because my girlfriend wants me to. Well, if the girlfriend leaves you, right, then then you don't have that same motivation, right? Yeah. But if you're obligated to do it to yourself, that's a part of it. But I love the fact that you're obligated to your team, and I think that also ties into the point that I made earlier about success and suffering, right? Like, because you got to go to practice and you got to suffer. You got to suffer through the two-a-days in football, yep. And you got to suffer through, the running drills and the everything else. But with that suffering comes the opportunity for success. Right. And that feeling of elation, when you're the one that's at practice shooting the same shot 5,000 times, right? But then when it's the buzzer beater, they throw the ball in, you know what to do, you throw it up, you make the ball, and then that, the team carries you off, they rush the court. There's that lifelong memory of just amazingness that you have. And the only way to get that is to put in the time and the suffering and to go through it. You can't buy that feeling, right? No amount of money. Like you can, what's that guy's name? Bo Rat, right? When he acts like he's the dictator. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Remember? And then they do the race, but he wins all the races, right? Because he's the dictator. If anybody else beats him, he shoots him.
He's shooting them.
Right. But there's no happiness in that. Yeah. That's not true success.
Yep.
There's no elation that comes from that. And people that are unwilling to suffer, they don't understand what true happiness is. Instead, they want to buy a drug, right? I want Prozac, or I want an antidepressant. I want this thing so I never have like a hard feeling or badness. But they miss out on the opportunity to have these amazing moments in life that stick with you forever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you've had a couple of moments in your life where all that hard work paid off and whatever it is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, mine was being able to do a keg stand for 47 seconds solid.
It's impressive.
It was, you know, and
that's something that's a big obligation. I mean, that's years and years of drinking. I mean, that's
I
impressive.
put the time in.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do a lot of keg stands to get to that moment.
Are you doing handstands for preparation? I mean, what are you doing? You making sure your
There was a little
flows?
bit of that. You know, I'm not going to lie. I spent a little time in the gymnastics to make sure I knew how to hang on to the keg with both hands. And then, you know, my friends trained hard too.
Holding your legs up.
My buddy had to hold down the tapper. There was a lot of thumb work in that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he had to make sure, you know, it was just, everything came together at the right time. The right people were there. I had the right, you know.
Right atmosphere, the right amount of
There was
drum.
a lot of diversity too, because there was actually a girl that was holding one of my legs, and the other guy that was holding my other leg, he was a black guy. And then there was a white guy that was actually holding the tapper. And it was quite amazing. Yeah. So
Sounds like a diverse situation.
It was a DEI keg stand. I was ahead of the curve. This was back in 90s, you know? So, you know, I was way ahead of it. And we did it for free. We didn't have to get a $2 million grant from the government to make that happen. Although I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't start Bucky's DEI training camp or something, charity, because I probably could have put in and got a pretty healthy sum from those people in Washington that love giving money away. But yeah, that was a solid moment. Actually, I did have a really cool moment with a keg. So I was at a party one time, and it was my party at the mountain. And we ran out of liquor and ran out of beer. It was the end of the season party. There's no alcohol left whatsoever. And everything shuts down in the mountain at like 8 o'clock. So no chance to go to the liquor store and buy anything. But I knew of where a keg was that was still pretty much brand new, full. And I told my friends that I was going to get a keg. There was probably 30 people in this massive condo that we had rented out. And no one believed me. They thought, oh, whatever. But I went down, I found the kid that had keys to where this thing was, and we had it as the keg was for like an employee party that we had. But there was only 10 people, and we drank like 2 beers each out of it. And somehow I talked my boss into giving me the entire keg, and I carried it by myself all the way back to that room. I had to go from one building to another building across the snow. I drug it across the snow, and then I get it to the elevator, up to the floor, and then I carry it all the way down the hall. It was a bitch. I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't have a key to get in, so I had to knock on the door. And when I knocked on that door, the door opened, and I looked like an angel with wings and a big shiny keg. And you should have heard all 30 of those people just erupt in like complete and utter jubilation. And we carried the keg inside. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the time. But my friend Andy Lee, living up in Leadville. What up, buddy? He looked at me and he goes, in everyone's life, they all get a few moments of just where they are the most special human on earth. And he goes, this is one of your moments. Cherish it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was. I still cherish that
still
moment.
Remember it.
And, you know, so, but you got to build on little things, right? And whatever it is, that little goals, little successes. And I'll even tell you now, like right now, with just wanting to lose the extra weight, get myself in shape and doing these things, it sucks. I don't want to do it every day. It takes like an hour. And, you know, I think about it. I'm like, fuck, I don't feel like doing that. But then I remind myself how important it is and that, you know, this is I'm not going to quit. I'm obligated. And it's working so far. So I'm very proud of it. And we'll see how it goes. But I was going to say, and the one thing, it's so small, but back home, in Iowa, where I have a farmhouse, and there's an old wooden floor in it, and I sanded the floor all the way down. I'm redoing the house, and there's big cracks in between the boards. And I don't want to lose everyone here, but just imagine an old hardwood floor. The boards have shrunk and they've separated, so there's gaps in between them. And I didn't know what to do with it. And a friend of mine told me that if I mixed up sawdust and wood glue, I could make a paste and then put that paste in between the boards and fill in those gaps. It is a slow, tedious, pain in the ass thing. And when we put when we post this episode, I'll give Hayden the pictures to show you what I'm talking about. And when I started doing it, I looked at this floor. It was a big room. The boards are only a couple inches wide, and there's just so much to do. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. But then I also said, you just got to do it. Get it done. So I started, and I just started with one board. I went down, and then I came back, and I did another one. And then I did another one and another one. 6 hours later, I had that whole room done. And it sucked. All 6 hours was a pain in the ass. But I was slowly making progress. After I got one whole board done, I was like, all right, well, that only took 20 minutes. So I can just do the next one, right? And then I got a little faster at it. I got a little better at it. And then sure enough, 6 hours later, it was done. And the reason I bring it up is because, the next day I went back and I sanded it all down, and that took a long time too. But I'm so fucking proud of that floor. I sent pictures of it to all my friends. I showed everybody that knew anything about construction, said, hey, check this out. And it was a lot of hard work, but it was so worth it. And it gives me pride. And now when I look at a task that might be tedious and a little bit hard, I think to myself, I draw on that experience and I say, you know what? It's not that big a deal. So just think of the floor, just get started and start going, right? And it reminds me of that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Have you heard that before?
No.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Means you just got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and those tough tasks are always the most rewarding.
That's it.
You do something easy, you never feel as prideful or as accomplished. This is when, you're working on something, like I'll work on a design or something, and, it takes hours and you're messing around with it. You're adjusting things, that's not right. And you're hours in, and then you finally get to that end product and you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. Versus, go find a clip art online and use it as your own. It's never as, accomplishing as something like that. And that's with everything, woodworking, anything, those guys that do those woodworkings. To feel that accomplished, you do this crazy woodwork, at the end of days and days of working on it.
Or years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked those guys. What I would like to do is, when I get older, is have a wood shop and build those doll houses. Have you seen those? Like the elaborate ones that guys make? So it's like
it looks like
it's like a mansion, right?
Yeah.
But it's all built like just to scale, like a big, beautiful house. But I don't know. I enjoy woodworking and I enjoy stuff like that. So that's a long-term goal, is one day to learn how to do that shit. And
that'd be an interesting view. You in a wood shop making a bunch of doll houses. You playing with yourself with little dolls.
I don't think I'll play with myself while holding a doll. Sounds more like a Hayden thing. Too bad he's not here. I didn't really think about it that way. I need to call them like man houses or something. Huh?
Yeah, it sounded a little lonely. Like I'm gonna, when I get older, I'm gonna build doll houses and
I'm gonna build to scale architect.
Yeah,
drawing elaborate things that are actually just a freaking dollhouse. What are you gonna do? So we actually had some fun when your rest of your family was in town. We did the box bowling. What'd you think of the box bowling? I've seen RFK do it. I've seen Tom Brady do it.
I think it's tough. definitely takes practice. It's one of those things, I think, you like sports or any hand-eye kind of thing, is it takes time once you get it, but it's tricky. It's tricky.
I saw Tom Brady on a commercial get 15 or 17, but I do believe I got a 25.
Yeah.
You were there. You were a witness to it, right?
Yep.
Tom Brady sucks. FknBucky is God.
Fuck TB12, FknBucky.
Yeah. I'll take Tom Brady on at box bowling any day, anytime. Anything else you want to bring up, talk about there, Big D? Well, you got the time.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Give a shout out to the hometown.
Yeah, shout out Clintonville, big piece of shit town. You need to get your shit together, guys.
The truckers, right? You guys are the Clintonville truckers?
The truckers.
Yeah. Hayden's brought them up a few times, talking about a racist dance that you guys did and you got your prom canceled or something. That wasn't you. That was his
no, that
class,
was
right?
Yeah, that was Hidge's good. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's amazing. Well, I don't know. I've been to Clintonville a few times. Bumps. Spent a few nights at old Bumps. And that's a good little small town.
It's a good
What's the claim
small
to flame?
town,
Like, what do you guys do? Every little town has a something. You guys have a something? Like where I grew up, Traer, we have the winding stairs. Stupid.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have much. So we got the 4-wheel drive, making fire trucks. That's the staple of Clintonville right there.
4-wheel drive.
4-wheel drive. Seagrave is now what it is. Building fire trucks.
Doesn't get more American than that, though, right?
No.
Hardworking Americans building 4-wheel drive fire trucks. That's like the most masculine fucking thing you can ask for.
From what I recall, I think 4-wheel drive was created in Clintonville.
What?
So something, and I could be wrong. This is just what I remember, is they had this vehicle. They didn't know how to get up this hill. There wasn't enough power. And they went backwards and realized that
had more power.
More power off the back. So then that created. Now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 4-wheel drive was created in Clintonville.
That's a pretty I've never heard that story ever.
I could be totally wrong too.
No,
but we're just gonna say it was created in Clintonville.
Yeah, why not? Nobody's gonna fact check us.
By a guy named Damon Lorge.
Yeah,
very successful, smart guy.
I love that. Yeah, nobody's gonna fact check it. You guys are lazy, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna listen to this and you're gonna click over to porn. So you know what? Why not? 4-wheel drive was created in Clintonville, Wisconsin. Prove me wrong, suckers. Probably won't. So I'm not that worried about it. I did want to. I'm gonna go ahead and just go on this one because it's something I did want to bring up, and there's been so much going on with this Tom Homan, the border czar, and getting the bad ones out, and FBI. We got Kash Patel that's just got voted in to be the director of the FBI, and I got to say, I'm very optimistic, and I hope that it's going to get better. And I'm gonna tell you my own personal story of really quick why. Do you remember that shooting that happened in Orlando where the guy went into that gay club and shot 40 some people and killed them?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a horrible, horrible thing. And when that happened, I remember I was in a hotel somewhere and I had the TV on, getting ready. I don't even think I had the sound on, but I looked up and there was a gentleman that I knew. He was one of my customers when I used to work in the archery industry. And his name's Robbie. Great guy. Went out to dinner with him a few times. A super successful guy, smart, and just an amazing, amazing person. And he was the owner of this gun archery store in Florida. And I'm seeing him on the news, and I'm like, what's he doing on TV? So I turn it on. The guy that ended up being the shooter, right, came into his gun store, was acting awkwardly, and was asking about body armor and trying to buy a bunch of ammunition and a bunch of stuff. They actually refused to sell him anything because they didn't like the way that he was acting. And then they called the FBI to report him. You know, that was 3 weeks before he did that shooting. No one from the FBI followed up on it.
Wow.
Well, we've got the FBI investigating Trump. We've got the FBI investigating people that are protesting Planned Parenthood. We've got the FBI investigating parents at school board meetings. That's all real shit. Why is there attention on parents that are upset at school board meetings? That's not the FBI's job, dude. Unless somebody gets killed and they can't figure out who did it. But that's not where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be following up on leads from people that own a freaking gun store, talking about somebody that came in trying to buy body armor and a ton of ammunition and is looking to do something dangerous, right? Yeah. To me, that's where the FBI should be focusing their attention. And I'm hopeful that that's what they're going to get back to. Because those people, regardless of what their sexuality is, then none of them deserve to die like that. Nobody deserves to be die like that. And we have all these gun laws, and people are screaming that we need more gun laws, and we need more of this, and we need that. What we actually need is for the laws that we already have to be enforced, and for the people that are charged with doing that, that's where their attention should be. And I think that if someone had followed up on this, I can't say for a fact that it wouldn't have happened, but you know, if you're thinking about doing something really fucked up like that, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of FBI beating on your door.
Yeah, it might change
you really
your
think
perspective
about
a
what
little
you're
bit.
doing,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
But when nobody knocks on your door, you're just like, you keep going down your tunnel of badness, right? So, you know, and I think that the other side of it is where I was getting to, is that we can arrest a lot of these criminals that should not even be in this country, and we just get them out, man. Just send them back to their home countries where they belong. They should be in prison there. A lot of them have been convicted of murders, of rapes, of molestation of children. These are horrible things, and these people don't need to be walking around in the streets. We get these people out, and then our FBI and our law enforcement can concentrate on what they're supposed to be doing. And, you know, the goal of all communities should be that the police are just there to hang out, right? That their crimes aren't being committed and everybody's living together in peace. It doesn't really happen, but why bring more problems on yourself by allowing these people to just run amok in our communities? And it's not the rich communities that these people run amok in. They're not running around in the gated communities of Washington, D.C., where all these politicians live, regardless of the letter next to their name, the D, the R, the I. They all live in really nice places, and they don't have to worry about this shit. These people that do these crimes, they live in the poor communities, and they prey on those people. And that's bullshit. People, regardless of how much money you make, you should be able to feel safe in your neighborhood, and you should be able to feel safe in your environment. You should be able to let your kids play outside in your yard without having to worry about them being snatched up or murdered by somebody driving by. These communities in Chicago and certain other communities, I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting what's been allowed to happen there. And we've got all this focus on all this other bullshit instead of focusing on where it should be and keeping these kids from starting gangs, from getting into gangs, finding new ways. I mean, there's so much money that could have been spent so much better. And I'm just, when President Trump says that a golden age is upon us, I'm hopeful it really is. And I guess time will tell, you know. I don't want to leave it on a I don't know, kind of a downer note when talking about that stuff. So I think we'll kind of leave it and just circle back to the motivated, obligated, and I hope that if you've listened to this today, we've entertained you a little bit. You've had some fun, you've had some laughs, but it also helps you a little bit and you think about things again. I say this every single episode. What I talk about, what I say, it's my opinion. My opinion means
absolutely fucking nothing.
absolutely fucking nothing. It is mine. It's the result of every experience in my life that has led me to right now, right here. You have all of your experiences that have led you to where you are. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you valuable to the world. So don't lose that. Don't regurgitate other people's opinions. Think for yourself. Read the books. Watch the things. Come up with your own opinion because it's valuable. And then when the conversation is had, make yourself known, but be open-minded. Listen to others. You don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but together as a community, we can all come together. We can all live in peace and we can all appreciate the world. And with that, I'm FknBucky and I'm out.
Stay hard.
Love it. Thank you, D, for joining us, man. You're the best. I wish you a very safe trip home and look forward to having you back on again.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back.
Love it. Take care. See ya. Bye. Hayden's a huge fat fucking pussy.
Don't read books, aka Hayden.
Yeah.